This is a story about risk versus reward. So, I was bargain hunting one night, as you do, and I found this listing. A Lumix GH2 listed as spares and repairs for £27. It was pristine, like new, no wear and tear, but there was a big caveat. Would not turn on. Sort of a big deal when you're camera hunting. Now, this was a risk for several reasons. The GH2 was a filmmaker's dream back in 2010, and there were hacks where you could even up the bitrate of the video. And because it was mostly for amateur filmmakers, people liked to make dummy batteries so you could get infinite power while you were recording.
More power!
The problem? Both of these modifications gave you about a 50-50 chance of the camera just bricking and frying to death. Forums were filled with bricked cameras, broken cameras, and will not turn on. So why did I want to buy this again? I was hunting for one very important key piece of information, and I found it in the listing. Comes with third-party battery. Now, I am a camera nerd. As you know, I spend a heck of a lot of my time every day talking to Micro Four Thirds enthusiasts, and I happen to know that the Lumix GH2 suffered from a secondary problem, a much more mundane problem with a very simple fix. Some GH2 models just did not like third-party batteries. Sometimes you would get a warning on screen like this, and sometimes it just would not turn on. Now, batteries I've got. It was worth a shot, right? Risk versus reward. The way I see it, it was a coin toss, a 50-50 chance between an unfixable, irrevocable problem and a really simple one that would get the camera up and running in moments once I'd received it. But why did I even want a Lumix GH2 to begin with? What makes them so special? Well, for video, it was a groundbreaking camera at the time. It gave people access to codecs and formats that they didn't have access to before at such a good price point and in such a small camera body. We're talking HD. But no, it's 2010, come on, it's 2010. And even some slow-mo, like HD 50p for instance. Just bear with me. The Lumix GH2 is small, it's beautiful, there is a mic input, a flippy screen, you can easily adapt vintage lenses for all of your filmmaking needs. It is everything we love about the Micro Four Thirds system and the pioneer of it all in so many ways. And some enthusiasts even report that there was some magic secret sauce in the Lumix GH2. Something that's never been seen before or since in any of the other cameras. Something that gives you that naturally cinematic look. Now, I don't know if I believe that, but I want to believe that. Either way, I wanted to own a piece of cinema history for myself, for my camera collection, and of course test it out as an everyday carry camera. But more than anything, I blooming wanted it for 27 quid. So the camera arrived. It was just as pristine as the listing said it would be. Everything looked brand new. And you know what? There's a part of me that didn't want to know. Maybe I could just stick it on the shelf and have it be Schrodinger's camera for all eternity. I'll never know if it worked or not. The dream was enough. Almost. It was time to test my theory. It was time to flip the coin. Risk versus reward, bargain of the year, of the century. I am Queen Camera Nerd. One quick change of the battery and everything was up and running. So, that's the story of my bargain. But let's go see what the GH2 looks like in 2024. The Lumix GH2 is really easy to use, and I was surprised to see some features that I know and love today on the GH2, like the physical custom modes on the dial. I assigned these to Cinema 24p and to shutter speed priority for my photos, so I could have quick access to photo or video as I walked around. While vintage lenses are wonderful, and here are some images taken with vintage lenses on the GH2, it's worth mentioning that there isn't any focus peaking, so you have to trust your eyes quite a bit. There is magnification, which helps tremendously, but I do miss focus peaking. And there isn't any auto ISO in movie mode as well, which can be a learning curve depending on how you usually shoot video. The biggest drawback is the lack of in-body stabilisation, which doesn't come until much later in the Lumix lineup. This is why all my video shots are static, because I wasn't using any stabilised lenses. If you do own some stabilised Lumix lenses, you should get away with a bit more movement in your shots. Ergonomically, it's hard to believe that this camera is so old. It's so comfortable and logically laid out, and the touch and flippy screen feels super modern. I honestly wish Lumix would return to this tiny form factor one day. It's very, very nice to use. All in all, I loved this trip down memory lane. I think the Lumix GH2 is a beautiful camera, and I'm so glad that I own one now. And I'm even more happy that I got it for 27 quid. But just a word of warning, I probably got really lucky with my copy, so don't go buying loads of brick GH2s. You might not be so lucky and you might waste your money. I wanted to make it my New Year's resolution to brush up on my video creation skills. One thing that's helped me hugely over the past few weeks has been learning from Skillshare, which is a sponsor of today's video. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives like you and me. Anything that you're interested in, there's going to be a class for you. For instance, there's something I want to learn this year, which is how to create basic ebooks, so I can create some tutorial guides or perhaps some photo guides and sell them on my website. I looked to find some learning paths, so I found one perfect. Go from beginner to intermediate in InDesign, and this bundles up a beginner course, an intermediate course, and then a more advanced course, and through learning all three you'll have progressed massively in your skills. The first 500 people to use my link in the description below will get 1 month free access. Imagine how much you could learn in a month. Sign up, try a class or three, and see if it's for you. And thanks once again to Skillshare for sponsoring this week's video. So, am I going to hack my miracle camera? Absolutely blooming not. I don't care if it can get better performance with the hack. How silly would I be to actually get a bargain like this for 27 quid and then brick it? That would be so silly. So I'm very happy to keep it as stock and pristine and add it to my collection and own a piece of bargain hunting mastery.